It's a fascinating time in Hollywood for budding starlet Rachel Zegler. First, she makes waves at D23, and then the Snow White movie gets pushed back by almost an entire year. While other actors under the SAG-AFTRA agreement are silenced, Rachel Zegler is going to be back very soon telling us everything that's going on in her brain as she prepares to talk to us about a Hunger Games prequel that is coming out on November 17th. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, everyone. Not to go over the history here of young Miss Rachel Zegler, a Hollywood starlet who appears to be quite talented, although maybe not so talented in interviews. She has a habit of riling things up and maybe even becoming a bit of a figurehead for what might be wrong in Hollywood today. We're not making any comments on her character, just her proclivity to say things that she might regret later. And then when given the opportunity to back away from them, she also tends to say things that she shouldn't say. Here at That Park Place, we're of the firm belief that Miss Zegler still has a salvageable career, and what she probably needs is a good publicist. With the SAG-AFTRA strike still going strong as the recording of this video, Zegler has appeared on the picket line and said strong terms in support of the strike, but now she's talking about her current productions. Now, the movie that she's starring in is a prequel to the Hunger Games quadrilogy of movies, which are based on the Hunger Games trilogy of books, the movie being Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. While we thought that Rachel Zegler would be lying low for a while, she might not have come up again until the press tour for Skydance Animation's Spellbound, which we now know is going to be released straight to Netflix, so who knows what that press tour will look like. And not to gloat, of course, we are happy to discuss the state of pop culture and what it represents for Rachel Zegler. We talked about it on a special Halloween live stream, but we've separated it out so that people who maybe don't want to watch a 2-hour live stream can just catch this one little clip. But here we go. Rachel Zegler, as you all know, is making waves out there in the world of Hollywood, even though I don't think she's allowed to make commentary on anything. But more on that in a moment. Just a briefing for anyone who is not up on the Rachel Zegler situation. The Walt Disney Company released a first look at Snow White right about the time that they were delaying it for a year. So this movie is now a year and a half away. And let's get a nice big look at Snow White and what appears to be 7 dwarfs.
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked myself as well. I was very surprised when this came out. I think it was was it a Thursday? No, it was a Friday, which means that they were ashamed of this news.
Take out the trash day, baby.
Yep.
That's when you try very hard to avoid the news cycle. If I were a YouTuber, which maybe I am, I would carve out a little bit of time right before I'm heading out the door on a Friday to just pay attention to the news that day, because that is all the stuff that they want you to miss. So
absolutely.
Vash and I recorded a video about this on Friday and released it in, I'll say, record time. I've got to say, looks like Tommy Lee Jones right there. Appearance of maybe a George R.R. Martin back there. If I had to guess, I would say that looks like a Doc. That looks like a Grumpy. I'm going to say that's Dopey. I don't know. He doesn't look very dopey to me. Just looks like he's got big ears. But that's
Edward E. Newman?
Or Alfred E. Newman.
Alfred E. Newman. Yeah, not Edward. I don't know. Maybe he's got a brother. You don't know.
I know the company has kind of shied away from Dopey, and it's what that character kind of says or not says, right? What the implication there is. So I know that they're kind of nervous about that one. So no surprise that Dopey doesn't quite look like the Dopey that we all know.
Wait a minute. They're nervous about Dopey, but okay about a fairy godfather.
Wait, are they doing a fairy godfather in this one?
No.
I was.
Well,
oh wait,
that
was that one. I thought we were talking about the Amazon Cinderella. That
or a fairy godmother assistant or whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah.
a Godfather in Training. Actually, Godfather in Training. That sounds very. That's got those Scarface Al Pacino vibes right there.
See, we just helped them out. They can do a mafia version of this film. They'll be good shape.
Now that we've set the stage a little bit here, let's talk about Rachel Zegler and the gift that we have all been given as YouTubers. The Hunger Games prequel, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, has nabbed a SAG-AFTRA interim agreement. Lionsgate is now going to have promotional support from the cast the Hunger Games prequel that's hitting theaters in just about 2.5 weeks. The forthcoming prequel in the Hunger Game franchise has landed an interim agreement from SAG-AFTRA ahead of its release next month. This means that the Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, thank you so much for all of those ands and colons in that title, Lionsgate, hitting theaters November 17th, can now have its on-screen talent promote the film in the coming weeks. Francis Lewis directs a cast that includes Rachel Zegler, Tom Blythe, Peter Dinklage, oh, there he is, Hunter Schafer, Jason Schwartzman, Josh Andres Rivera, and Viola Davis. A lot of that cast right there is not problematic and not related to any of the Snow White news. But then we got these two right here. First of all, Rachel Zegler and Peter Dinklage.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So
there you go.
I don't mean to be looking forward to the next content cycle here, but whether she does well or not, whether or not she's been trained on the red carpet, or how to act on the red carpet, it sounds like Rachel Zegler is going to be back in the news cycle very, very soon.
It does appear that way. Isn't that weird? Weird. As Space Dave 2000 reminds all of us. She is just... like you said, Jonas, she is just the gift that keeps on giving, and it seems like unless she's been coached up and kind of basically told, hey, look, listen, let's not get into anything controversial right here. Let's just have you go out on the red carpet or do some promo, take some pictures, and get out of there. She might be giving us even more content for which YouTube's all around the nation will be making videos about. So I look forward to her appearances here. Remember, too, she's also attached to Skydance Animation's new film Spellbound, and so we expect something there as well, or is the tone of that studio and what they want to actually showcase as part of that production and as part of that studio under John Lasseter, might they go a different direction with the promotion for that film? We'll see.
Well, that is my question, and I want to throw this to you, Culture. How does movie promotion usually go? And do you think that Netflix will be doing that for their newly acquired Skydance animation feature, Spellbound?
Well, I mean, a lot of times the studios still think, for whatever reason, that getting their stars out in front of a project in advance to have them do press junkets and do the late night show tours and all of that to highlight what they're working on, to make the public more aware, or at least get a different demographic aware of certain projects. They spend a lot of time, and they actually are able to put some numbers on that. And for example, what's his name? Ezra Miller, who I think I have a video on today. I don't know which one Grant put up, but there's one coming out. Ezra Miller cost the studio about $60 to $80 million in publicity because he didn't do any. The only thing he did was the one red carpet event, and then he didn't do anything else to promote The Flash. So they actually put a number on the value of having the people promote films. So usually you want your people to go out there, do a quick, clever bit, especially on the late shows, and then, promote your clip of what your project is. And all of this happens inside of a cycle, usually at different varying points, but usually somewhere between 3 weeks and like the day before release, where they kind of time these things. But look, the bigger thing here is that the studio, in the case of this film, had to make some serious sacrifices to make it so that all these people could talk. Right. And I don't think, and this is the one thing I don't know if you gentlemen agree, but I don't think I want Rachel to talk. I think I want her to be very quiet. She does not help projects, and Lionsgate doesn't need any help to make bombs and flops. They just don't. Yeah. And so she seems to create them all around her. She hasn't had a successful project yet. So I don't know.
But the question then becomes, and I guess we'll see with Argyle, whether or not Matthew Vaughn, who seems to have circumvented the whole system here by just dominating the nerd culture news cycle with all of his comments on Star Wars and other things like that, where everyone is talking about Argyle because Matthew Vaughn is in the press, even though he can't directly state that he is in Argyle. There have been countless news stories about the fact that this movie is coming out, because every time that they say, oh, well, Matthew Vaughn says that we should reboot Star Wars, whether or not he believes it, I don't know. I don't know if I'm so cynical that I think he actually thinks Star Wars should be rebooted. Or maybe he's just being a nihilist that says, as long as as long as we're destroying things, why not reboot Star Wars? But
Wow.
Rachel Zegler, I don't know what she would have to do in order to thread this needle, because I think the character that she's playing, if I'm reading this right, there's been that comment that they're kind of saying, they're going back to that Jennifer Lawrence well, and kind of saying that there was no dystopian novels that are based around female characters. It was a ridiculous statement, and it's one of those things that, of course, I'm sure Bounding Into Comics has covered that very well. What has to happen in order for it to be a net positive for Rachel Zegler, to have Rachel Zegler on the red carpet?
I guess they're assuming that promotion, whether good or bad, is better than no promotion. But I mean, you take an extreme risk right here when, Zegler starts popping off, especially with a populace now that's a little bit more informed than it ever has been, right? And is a little bit more sensitive to these things than they ever have been, as noted by, let's say, the Panderverse episode from South Park and so forth. A lot of social commentary has been made in all this stuff. So Rachel Zegler coming out here, I mean, she could, to your point, Jonah, she could definitely do more harm than good. But culture, what kind of concessions did the studio actually have to make this happen? Because, I mean, for whatever contribution that Zegler provides this film, what are they paying for essentially? And that speaks to another question as well.
Yeah, the interim agreements have been available, since the beginning of the strike. And for the studio, they had to agree to all of the conditions and terms that were laid out by SAG-AFTRA in order to secure that interim agreement. Financially, that's gonna make another hit. Or create another hit to the bottom line for those studios. So they were willing to concede whatever it was that SAG-AFTRA was asking for. That could be quite a lot, because the actors and actresses, they want to secure the fact that everybody gets proper credit, everybody gets a pay adjustment based on how the film performs and all of that, because they're really trying to get at the revenue share. So if this included some elements of what they've been asking for from the studios through the larger negotiation process, which I'm certain that probably does, they've given up an awful lot. And if I'm Lionsgate, is that worth the sacrifice to get this out in the public? Maybe, considering it's not going to be competing that particular weekend with a lot of films that I would predict will be very successful. It's just part of November, which is apparently Girl Power Month, because you have the Marvels that's coming out. That'll have no promotion because it's not part of an interim agreement. Not that the studios would be, the SAG-AFTRA be too excited about working with Disney for one of those. Right. So there's that, and then you have Wish. So you've got like these 3 girl power films that are taking up all of November, and that's it.
I mean, I've already got tickets to. What is it? Napoleon, I think, is the big November release for me. But I mean, outside of all those, I mean, they don't necessarily make for a compelling product from an audience or guest perspective right here. Oh, go ahead.
Vash, just not to interrupt you, but just to add to what you're saying and find out your opinion here, because I don't actually know, since that's produced by something outside the studio system. I don't know if they had to secure an interim agreement. I don't know if there's going to be actors and actresses promoting that film. I think releasing it now relies very much on who the actor and actress is. The lead characters in Napoleon is.
And I'd also like to know. Well, I'd like to know. I mean, how much of this promotion, because I remember hearing about the idea that these films aren't doing very well because they don't have any promotion from these actors and talent on set. Does this really amount to dollar signs in box office gross? Do you think, Culture? I mean, how impactful is this kind of stuff?
Well, so I've never agreed with the studios that it was. Well, that's not true. In the last 5 to 10 years, I don't agree with the studios that it's important to have people out front talking about their projects. I think now, especially with social media presence and all of that, and the fact that the late night shows are dying as it is. I mean, literally, they're overvaluing what that's worth. They're overvaluing the press junkets and the interviews and everything else. They, like I said, because Ezra Miller did not participate in the promotional campaign other than the red carpet for The Flash. They estimated a loss at $60 to $80 million at the box office. So they are very much overvaluing, what that's worth. Could it generate a few more $1 million, make more, create more public awareness? Certainly it can.
I think in the case of this, especially, the box office projections have been pretty low for this particular movie. And maybe we need to reach an era where the industry at large needs to stop relying so much on IP and stop saying, we promise it'll be like the last one, which the last one, I'm pretty sure Hunger Games kind of petered off there at the end anyways.
Well, even the director. Yeah, even just to add to that, Jason, even Jonas, can't speak today. But just to add to that, the director there said he made a mistake by breaking the Mockingjay thing up into two, the last film into two. He said that just killed it. Anyway, sorry.
Agreed. Everyone was going for two movies in the end at that point. Harry Potter did it, and then Twilight wanted to prove that you could, in fact, milk a vampire. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into That Park Place. If you like this video, you should consider liking this video. Of course, share it out on social media if you know people who are interested in this kind of topic. And if you personally are interested, maybe consider subscribing here to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com for all the news that should be fun. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.